All right, friends, the day is upon us. It's the last day before the start of the 2025 Tour de France. For those of you in the United States, you got to lock in your teams before you go to bed tonight, pretty much, unless you're an early riser. For those of you in Europe, you have a few hours in the morning tomorrow to make any last minute changes. Certainly, if there's any news that comes out overnight, new sicknesses, etc., you should be checking that out before you lock in your picks. But you have until I believe 1:20 p.m. French time, which is Central European summertime. All right. So what we're looking at here is my current team. Uh, I've got a screenshot on the right so you can just see what the initial starting point was. It's also just a little bit easier to manipulate. But I am going to break from tradition and not tell you all who I'm picking. The reason is I really don't know. I really don't know who I'm going to pick. I'm going to continue thinking about it tonight. And before I go to bed, I'm going to make an impulsive decision. What we're looking at is my default team, but there's a couple key decisions that I think I have to make as a consequence of Wout van Aert being vocal in his interviews in the last couple of days about not going for green, saving his legs a little bit, not contesting all the stages, and only focusing on certain stages. We know those to be the punchy ones. But also him calling out himself in the media that even on those stages, the priority will be to protect Jonas. So I'm feeling a little bit bearish on Wout van Aert, certainly more so than I was uh, a few days ago. So the main decision is, do I keep Wout van Aert or not? Emotionally, I want to. I like rooting for him. I'm a big fan. He's scored a ton of points for me in the past, and he can score points on any terrain if he's really motivated. I'm just not sold that it's a safe pick. So basically, all the other decisions that I have to make are going to cascade from whether or not I sell Wout van Aert. So just a quick note here: this pick of Milan could be replaced with Merlier, could even be replaced with Philipsen. I think it's a toss-up between the three. I've spoken in the past about why I prefer Milan. He's eligible for the white jersey. He's got less competition on his team. He's got the best lead out. Blah 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 blah. I think Milan, and he also claims that he's lighter than he's ever been. I think that's what I heard, and he's climbing really well for relative to his past performance. But Merlier is, I think, the bookies' favorite for stage one. I think that's who the LRCP guys predicted for stage one. So you could go with Merlier. I'm going with Milan. I only think that I'm willing to take one of the big three 22 cost sprinters just because the three of them are going to be cannibalizing each other's points. There's three guys. None of them are the out and out favorite, but they're all competing for the same points. Um, I personally am pretty sold on Pogacar. I think that he's going to light it up on stage two, or at least, he's going to be up near the front and trying to capitalize on any of his opponents who are losing time. So I think he's going to score points already stage two. He said that he was, he didn't need to. He said he could just save his legs the first week, but he kind of said that with a wink. And I think we all know that he can't really resist it once he gets on the road. He's a racer. But you could consider dropping him and freeing up some other points. I'm not going to consider that. If you were to drop Wout van Aert, you could swap in Remco Evenepoel for similar reasons. I think he'll score some points in these early stages, but also he's the clear favorite for the individual time trial in stage five, which likely will put him in the yellow jersey and almost certainly in the white jersey, which he'll hold for a number of stages, almost guaranteed. So he's one person you could play around with. But one other person I want to call out is not that one yet. Genier. Genier, only in the last couple of hours was he called out as someone that I potentially missed in my rider evaluations. I should have looked deeper into him, but he's, if you look at his PCS, he's ranked quite high. He's been farming some lesser races, but he's been winning a lot, and he's always in the top 10. And he's a cheap sprinter. He's the main supported sprinter on his team. I think that he might actually be the best way to spend 10 points or 10 stars. Personally, I'm not 100% sold on him being the best 10-star rider because I gotta look out for the GOAT, Jonas Abrahamsen. He's, one of my favorite riders. I like rooting for him. So this, again, is a bit more of an emotional pick, but he was far and away the most efficient rider in last year's Tour. I think he has a lot to prove coming back from his injury. I think he's really hungry. He wants to replicate the success and attention that he generated for his team and his sponsors last year. So I'm going to go with Abrahamsen if I pick up a 10-star guy. But if you brought in a cheaper sprinter for Wout van Aert, you could upgrade your 5-cost rider to someone like Genier and keep Abrahamsen. So my other, most likely team, if I drop Wout van Aert, is probably keep everyone on top here, keep Verchet, keep Renard, but swap out Grignard for Genier, keep Abrahamsen, and swap Wout van Aert for anyone who costs 15 stars or less. And, I think that there's a number of options there. It's not 100% clear to me who I would pick if I had those 15 stars, but most likely it would be a 10 or 11 star rider, maybe a 12-star rider, to keep at least 3 stars in reserve so that I can trade up on these guys when I see a good opportunity. But in any case, roughly speaking, right here, this is my team. Pogacar, Van der Poel, Milan, Wout van Aert, Abrahamsen, Verchet, I think, Renard, and Grignard. If you see me tomorrow with a different team, it's because I chickened out and I sold Wout van Aert and I made a last-minute adjustment. But this video is long enough. I don't really have good advice here besides just letting you guys know my thoughts. So these are my thoughts. And with that, I'll see you guys in a few days for a recap of the first couple stages. Thanks for watching.